For one of your assignments today, you're going to be completing the third page in review packet. It's called Applying Properties of Negative Exponents. And you have 12 different problems that all have negative exponents. And it's your job to change these negative exponents into positive exponents. And if you do it correctly, you'll get one of the answers at the bottom. In order to do this correctly, you need to remember the negative exponent rule. So I thought I'd go ahead and review that rule and go over a few examples. So the negative exponent property says x to the n power over 1 is the same thing as 1 over x to the negative n power. What this basically says is that if you have an exponent and you change its position, for example, if you take it from the top and you throw it to the bottom, the sign of the exponent will change. If I had x to the third power at the top and I threw it to the bottom, it will no longer be x to the third power, it will now be x to the negative third power. And this also works the other way. If I had something like x to the negative seventh power at the bottom, and I threw it to the top, it will no longer be x to the negative 7th power, it will now be x to the positive 7th power. Let's go into a couple examples to explain it in a little more detail. So if I have 8 to the negative 5th power, we all know we can write this as 8 to the negative 5th over 1. And since I have a negative exponent, I don't like that. I need to make it positive. Since this is at the top, what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to throw it to the bottom. So I'm now going to have 1 to the 8 to the positive 5th power. It was negative 5 when it was at the top, but when I threw it to the bottom, the sign changed. It went from negative 5 to positive 5. Let's look at a little bit more complicated examples. If I have a to the second, b to the negative 4th, and c to the negative 7th, obviously I need to get rid of the negative 4th power and the negative 7th power. The a to the second power is fine. It's positive. I'm not worried about it. It's going to stay at the top. But since the b to the negative 4 is at the top, I'm going to go and throw it to the bottom. And when I do that, it's going to become positive 4. And now to get rid of the negative 7th power, since it's at the bottom, I'm going to throw it to the top. And when I do that, it'll become positive 7. So this is what the final answer will look like for example 2. So what the property basically says is that if you take the reciprocal of your fraction, your exponent will always change sign. So once again, reciprocal just means you're flipping your fraction. Now let's go look at a couple of the harder examples from the actual worksheet. Let's begin at looking at number 10. What I like to do is I like to recognize what pieces aren't going to change. In other words, which ones already are positive. And that would be my 3 to the 5th power at the top. It's going to stay at the top. And my 7 to the 9th power at the bottom is going to stay at the bottom. I'm now going to notice I have negative 4 to the negative 10th power. I need to change that negative 10 into a positive 10. Since it's in the numerator at the top of my fraction, I need to throw it to the denominator or the bottom of my fraction. And when I throw it to the bottom, it's no longer going to be negative 10. It's now going to be positive 10. And whenever they give you a base with parentheses around it, always keep those parentheses, because if you remove the parentheses, you have a chance of being incorrect. So just, it's better to be safe than sorry. Just always keep those parentheses if they give them to you. And then I also have a 21 to the negative 4th power at the bottom. I'm going to go and throw that from the bottom to the top. And what's going to happen, it's no longer going to be negative 4. It's now going to be positive 4. And this would be a final answer for number 10. Let's go look at number 12 now. This one's a little more complicated than number 10. I have 3 to the 3 over 7 is all being raised to the negative 5th power. What you have to do here is you have to use the power rule. You have to understand that the negative 5 is being applied to the 3 and it's being applied to the 7. So I can rewrite this as 3 to the negative 5th over 7 to the negative 5th. And then the negative 21 to the negative 4th and the negative 4 to the 2nd, I can put those all over 1. So I can put that over 1 and put the second place over 1. And instead of having 3 separate fractions, I'm going to go and make one giant fraction. I'm just going to put all the top pieces together and all the bottom pieces together. But as we all know, that multiplying by 1 doesn't really do anything. So the bottom's only going to be 7 to the negative 5th power. I'm now going to look at what pieces are not going to change. The only thing that's not going to change is my negative 4 to the 2nd power. Since it's already a positive exponent, it's going to remain at the top. Everything else is going to swap positions. The 7 to the negative 5 is going to go from the bottom to the top. The 3 to the negative 5 is going to go from the top to the bottom. And then negative 21 to the negative 4th is going to go from the top to the bottom. So you can see what would happen. This went from the bottom to the top. This went from the top to the bottom. And this went from the top to the bottom. And then this remained at the top since it was already positive. So the final answer for number 12 will look like this.